It's season 2, episode 42 of the Hall of Fame show, and 42 is a pretty special number if you follow baseball. And if you're watching this and listening to this, I assume you are. There's no World Series to watch right now, and 42 is a pretty big number. It's the Jackie Robinson number. And
it's also the answer to everything. It's the answer meaning your life from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay. I never saw it, never read it. The only thing I know is I think I told you this already. I used to party at a bar called Zaphod Bibelbrox in Ottawa.
I having been to Ottawa, that must be the only bar you can party in. I take that back. I did crash the wedding at Fridays, not TGI Fridays, an actual bar called Fridays in Ottawa, which was fantastic.
Yes, we actually had this conversation.
Yeah. It was the owner's daughter's wedding, and we'd gone to another wedding where they were Calvinists, so there's no dancing and no alcohol, and the groom had chronic fatigue syndrome. So basically the party was over at like 9 and there's nothing else to do. We walked up out, that sounded crazy. We walked in, there's tool up the banister. We walked in, they gave us free drinks and profiteroles. It's kind of amazing. That's my best memory of Ottawa. But that was the only thing happening in Ottawa on a Saturday night in July. So
come on, Ottawa's a great city.
It's a very nice, sweet little clean city, but there was nothing going on in downtown Ottawa in July on a Saturday night.
Oh, it was fun stuff to do, but
fair enough.
But 42 is the number of Jackie Robinson, and we bring that up because, hey, Evan and I created another website. It's nothalloffame.com/USA, where you can vote on who you think should be in the United States Athletic Hall of Fame. No one created this. We did that. Go figure.
Actually, I forgot to tell you, I got official documents from her this week, from our lawyer, showing our actual registration. It's like in a nice folder and everything.
Oh, wow. Well, look at that. I thought you were going to say I got more junk mail trying to tell me I need.
Oh, yeah. I get lots of credit card offers for you now. It's
okay. Wonderful. All right. So then if we ever sort of like need to sort of like rack up credit I don't have, we could do that. Nice.
Probably shouldn't admit that on the air.
Well, no, probably not. But then we're good, honest people. It won't happen.
Of course.
No, of course not. Before we get to our main event, special thanks to everyone who participated last night. We're going to go into more detail about that next week once that shows up. But we had our mock Pro Football Hall of Fame committee. We had about 12 people there. A few other people who couldn't make it but submitted their votes. And went on probably longer than we wanted it to, but it's hard when you're talking about 123 football players and trying to pare that down to 25. And a lot of us were talking to each other for the first time. So you'll see our process, how we whittled it down to actually 26.
Yeah, we had a tie for the last spot. We had a 4-way tie for the last spot. So,
and at that point, we just said, screw it.
Yeah, it's not gonna be
and went there. So we'll talk a lot more about that next week. If you came in here for Kirk shitbox, which is where I just sort of like vent on something, well, sorry, I don't feel like venting. I'm in a really good mood and I just want to keep that up.
Here, vent about the frogs for a second.
The frogs. Well, I'm so used to it. I don't even think about it. And what you might hear in the background, if that sounds like crickets, for my jokes, it's not. It is whistling frogs that are they're actually the size of this Barbadian dollar, which is where I live, not on the dollar, but on the island of Barbados. So, yeah. I do want to sort of open up with a couple things. One that ties in with the shitbox, when I vented on the Seattle Kraken retiring the number 32. Today we had a young team, the Nashville Predators, announced, and they did this correctly, their first retired number, and it's out of Pekka Rinne, for their goalie, who is a fringe Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's going to get in, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I'd lean towards no, but you never know.
I'm with you on that, but this doesn't hurt him. This could have been an elevator up. I'm passing on that for my elevator up segment, but he was a large reason that they got to their finals in 2017. Yes, the team is only a little over 20 years old, and yes, he holds.
Is that amazing? The Nashville Predators are 20 years old at this point.
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
great. Yeah,
We are old.
yes, we are. We're very old. But what are you gonna do? But they did this correctly, and kudos to the Predators for doing that. Also doing it on Pekka's 39th birthday and not making that announcement today.
Cool.
Love it. So I just want to say, well done, Nashville. Well done, Pekka. You deserve to be the first person to have that honor. The only other person it could have been would be Shea Weber, but he's not officially retired yet. We've already talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. It looks like he is, but it's not officially done. So,
Yeah.
and again, they're 20 years in, right?
Mm-hmm.
20 years in. We always say 25 years in is the first time you can have a Hall of Fame for a franchise.
Or really start acknowledging your history.
Mm-hmm.
Nashville has done, and we've said they've done a pretty good job supporting their hockey team, better than I ever thought they were going to when they got a expansion.
I went to a game down there earlier this month, on a preseason game with Tampa. It was a really good experience. Real nice arena, good fans. Although again, I just don't get the every time you score the other team sucks thing. I don't get that chant. That's not just Nashville. That's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, we scored. It's because you're terrible, not because we're good. Doesn't make it. But again, I'm a Red Sox fan. We're playing the Astros, and everyone's chanting Yankees suck. So, what are you gonna do?
I kind of got annoyed when I went to a Golden Knights game, and when someone else goes in the penalty box, they just do the Game of Thrones thing. Shame, shame. Like,
oh, that's pretty cool.
I don't like it.
I mean, that's a good question. What is the most annoying thing in sports for you, like that a fan base does? I mean, I know the tomahawk chop was all in the news over the last week because of the Braves, but
because it's a brand new story, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'll say I watched a lot of Yankees games this year, and I think every time there's a strikeout, that thing that they do. From the PA, that might be right up there. I'm sure there's something way worse, but so you put me on the spot trying to think of something. That's probably that was the first thing that came to mind. But something that I find a little bit annoying, not because I'm a Yankee hater. You'd think I would be as a Jays fan. I generally don't have any team that I despise, but I just find it an annoying sound, and not one. Even if I was a Yankees fan, I think I'd dislike it.
Understood. Yeah, I have to say the habit of the DC area fans for the Orioles on the national anthem, everyone goes, "Oh," for the "Oh Say Can You See," and for the Capitals, they all say, and the Rockets, "Red," Blair, and they all yell out "Red." It's just like, dude, it's a national anthem.
They do that at Vegas too.
Do they?
Yeah.
I just don't like
the Knights.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Yeah. So I'm not particularly overly jingoistic on stuff, but if we're gonna do national anthem, just don't make it about you. That's all. Whether or not we should do national anthem for every game is a whole nother issue. But if you are going to do it, just leave it alone.
So. I hear you. Something that just came up today for us, a few days ago, as you're hearing this. Someone who I was surprised by this retirement.
Hasn't happened officially yet. It's supposed to happen tomorrow.
Right. But very rarely when someone says, okay, it's going to happen, does it not happen?
Correct.
So San Francisco Giants catcher Buster Posey is apparently calling it a career tomorrow as of this time. I was looking statistically where he sort of stands, and I'm sure you probably were doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. In Baseball Reference in terms of WAR and JAWS, and he's close. I think he's a Hall of Famer, and my reasoning is we've got an MVP, a 3-time World Series champion, and he retired on his own terms, and I think that's going to be
after a great season. It was a great season he had for his last year.
Yes. Yeah. And also too, when I made the case on an elevator up for Salvador Perez, saying that he was the best catcher of the American League for the 2010s. Posey is for the National League, but Posey is period. Eventually, I'm going to be doing all decade teams. That's Buster Posey. And the only one to me close is Yadi Molina or Perez. But it's Posey. And I think this 2021 year, and he, again, like you said, it's a comeback year after sitting out last year completely, letting a lot of things heal. Took the Giants back to the playoffs.
They had the best record in the league.
Yeah.
Shockingly.
Yes. Oh, very much so. Very much so. So when we, like 6 years from now, when we sort of debate this openly, and I don't want to go too much because we're going to be talking about this a lot, but he's going to be one that I think I'm going to make a strong case for year after year after year. So your thoughts?
Yeah. So just going statistically, according to Jaws, again, which is imperfect, but just a way to measure someone to give you an idea, he's the 14th best catcher of all time. And the only catchers ahead of him who are not in the Hall of Fame are Joe Mauer, who's not eligible yet, who's number 7. Thurman Munson, who's one of those people that a lot of people talk about, should be a Hall of Famer, and Gene Tennis, who I don't hear very much about, but is, I mean, right there, at least statistically. Right behind him is Buck Ewing, Roy Campanella, Roger Bresnahan, all of whom are Hall of Famers as well. He's significantly ahead of Yadier Molina, for example, who's someone else people talk about for the Hall of Fame all the time.
Right.
So, I mean, he is right there with everything. If he plays another 3 years, it's probably not even a discussion, right? He's probably in the 9-10 range. Gabby Hartnett, Mickey Cochran, Ted Simmons, those guys are slightly ahead of him. It's probably where he ends up. I think he's probably a Hall of Famer. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. His issue, honestly, for the people who care about counting stats, is that he only has 1,500 hits.
Right.
Which is a fairly low number for people to get into the Hall of Fame. Not unheard of, but fairly low. And that's one of those things that if the people don't care about power, they ultimately do care about hits at this point still. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he was Rookie of the Year. He was MVP as a catcher, which is very hard to do. And three-time massive contributor, or 3-time champion, was a massive contributor on each team.
Right.
He's definitely, I don't know if he's ever going to be first ballot. He may sit there for a few times. But he might be a third or fourth ballot guy eventually that's going to get him in. Although who knows if everybody's still there, well, that's the other thing. By the time he gets there, the ballot may be really, really short because we have all these guys who have been backing up. This 2022 ballot's going to be nuts.
Yeah, that's going to be fun when we sort of put all that together. And I'm going to be doing my I'll try and do a more sober anti-Billy Wagner speech.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, last time you had a tough baseball one last time, so.
Well, it wasn't that tough for me. I just don't remember it.
So, Statler and Waldorf. What? It's over? How was it? I don't know. I slept through the whole thing.
Something to that effect. But I had my clothes on. That's an inside.
That is true.
Yeah.
As an inside joke, we will not explain. So
no, we will not.
No.
Shall not.
Yes. Other than to say that you and I have always had all our clothes on.
that is true. Should we get right? I don't know if because that hasn't been televised yet. I don't know if you've got any comments from what we've heard about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have that many, just from what it seemed like to me that they did the best they could in terms of brevity. Because there's a lot of people who weren't there. Tina Turner wasn't there in person. Kraftwerk, they weren't, even if they were all alive, they wouldn't have been there anyway.
Kraftwerk was there. They just were forced to sit in the audience because nobody recognized them.
I told you we could have gone.
I know,
and then accepted on their behalf.
We both got German heritage. That should be enough.
There's something to that. So and we just would have went like Dunga, and that would have been fine. We would have got like. We'll save that for when we accept as Daft Punk.
and I'm going to go back and accept as Dead Mouse as well. So
nice.
Or Devo. All we need is red hats. Nobody knows what those guys are.
We could just say we're the Blowfish. Who would know?
The Gorillas. We're going to be up as cartoons anyway.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So apparently they had a few nice surprises. J-Lo was there as a surprise performer. Dave Chappelle was a surprise. I'm not surprised they did announce him because I'm sure they didn't need some of the stuff going there. Apparently Dave went up there and said, I want to apologize. No, I'm kidding. Which perfect. So it's interesting. Dave Chappelle and Barack Obama were two of the people giving speeches on behalf of Jay-Z. So it sure looks like they presented him as the headliner. I didn't read that much in depth. It's interesting, or I find this very interesting. For someone who is obsessed with Halls of Fame, I'm not that big into watching ceremonies.
Yeah, I like watching the sports ones. I actually still haven't watched all the pro football one. I recorded it because I couldn't watch that night. Yeah, I had something going on. I'm only halfway through and I've never actually gotten back to it. But I like watching that part of it. And the Rock Hall stuff, the performances are great. But yeah, it's one of those things that's like, hey, it's important who gets there, but sometimes it's not as important to watch the actual ceremony. So
yeah, sometimes it's just a little bit too self-congratulatory. But this one didn't seem that way from what I've learned. But I'll make sure that I watch that. I think that's airing on the 4th, I believe.
Yeah, and plus all the people who we are now part of our Hall of Fame community, particularly on the Rock side.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys were in Cleveland for the ceremony, and I think it would have been cool to be there and like hang out with Charles Crossley for a little bit and just talk stuff to him, talk about the Rock stuff in person. Like all these people we exchanged tweets with over the years. That'd be pretty cool. So hey, that was the other big news. They announced that they're now moving to a 3-year schedule. It will be Cleveland, New York, and LA. Who's going to be added. It's going to do a 3-year rotating schedule to move it to each of the coasts.
At least they're keeping it in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like that's a city that needs it. New York and LA, they're very important musical cities in American folklore. Do they need it?
No. But I do have to say though, did you see the commercial this weekend for Baker Mayfield trying to return? He accidentally opened a package from his neighbor.
Oh yeah. It was Alice Cooper. Yeah.
As Alice Cooper living at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that I pretty much enjoyed. It's like, I think these are yours. And they're like really big boots and everything. He's like, you sure? I'm not sure about that.
That commercial was not approved by Odell Beckham Sr.
Why was that? Did he miss the opportunity to get Odell on the screen?
Oh, Jesus, I don't know. Parents.
Just by the way, I do not think Odell Beckham Sr.'s father or Odell Beckham Sr. actually took the time to cut that tape himself. I'm pretty sure he hired that out.
Probably. Or Odell or Jr. did that and just sort of had his dad do it. I don't know.
That's also possible. That actually seems very possible.
It's never a good look when parents or spouses get involved. Very rarely does this end well.
Well, Richard Williams is getting his own movie with Will Smith playing him coming up here.
Yeah. Will Smith. I guess I could make a play for Jada since he doesn't seem to care. I can't. Hey, after that came out, I can't look at the guy the same way.
Understood.
It's yeah. All right, now let's move on. I mean, the jokes write themselves. So yeah, for Will Smith's cuckdom, let's go to the people who died. That's why we don't have a sponsor for Segways.
I don't know. Does Segway sponsor anything?
They're not going to sponsor this. One of the people I know you're going to talk about, I really want to ask you about. So
yeah, that's probably the headliner. This has been another, fortunately, light week we've had in a while.
Okay.
But first, I'm going to give you a name. And I'm going to ask you what it is this person did.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 3 options for people who passed away on the same day as this person. You ready?
Sure.
Are they? The person's name is Otto Campeol.
Campeol. Okay.
Otto Campeol. Was Otto Campeol a resistance member of the Polish underground during World War II? Was he the inventor of tiramisu? Or was he a Oh, I should have come up with a third one ahead of time. You know, it's one of the first two. Or was he an
No.
Italian conservationist and the founder of Italia Nostra?
Well, let's see. Bachelor number 3 is looking not too good.
Yeah, that was the 101-year-old Desideria Pasolini della Onda.
Okay.
That last one.
I'll just go with tiramisu.
Yes, Otto Campiol, the co-inventor of tiramisu, passed away at the age of 93. So first of all, I figured tiramisu must have existed forever. What year do you think tiramisu was invented? He was born in 1928, so he passed away at 93.
I don't think they were doing much with food in the during World War II. 53.
1969.
Oh.
Which is interesting. I just would figure that tiramisu is one of those things the Italians have done for, 300 years. No, he apparently invented it with his wife, Alba di Pollo, or Pillow, excuse me, and chef Roberto Linguinato on December 24th, 1969 was the first time I ever went.
I feel a little better about myself. I'm only a few years younger than tiramisu.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So people we've lost this week, we lost International Tennis Hall of Famer Jane Brown Grimes, who was a president of the USTA from 2007-2008, making her the second female president of UTSA history. She passed away. Oh, she was married, by the way, to Olympic gold medalist Charles Grimes, who won the gold in 1956 Summer Olympics in rowing. But she passed away at the age of 80. Let's see here. Go to here. From the world of football, we lost Warren Powers, who was a running back for the Oakland Raiders. And actually won the Walter Camp Coach of the Year award, as well as the coach of Missouri back in the day. Passed away at the age of 80. He was also head coach of Washington State, but he passed away, at the age of 80 years old. From the world of sprinting, silver medalist of the 1948 Summer Olympics, Dorothy Manley, passed away at the age of 94. So she won the silver medal in the 100 meters at the 1948 Olympics in London. What do you think the silver medal time was?
Okay.
100 meters in 1948.
Am I guessing her time, or am I guessing the winning time?
Her time.
11:52.
12:2.
Okay.
We've come a long way in the last 70 years on this thing. So.
All right. I guess I didn't go back far enough, because what's the current women's record? Is it like 10-3 or something?
I think is it still over 10?
It's definitely over 10.
Still over 10? Okay, but I don't know. But she's 12-2. So, but she passed away at the age of 94. From the world of the NFL, we lost running back Tom Matte, who was the last running back to play quarterback before that guy for the Broncos last year. Member of the Baltimore Colts from 61 to 72. Member of the Super Bowl V championship. Won the NFL championship in 68. NFL rushing touchdowns leader in 69. He made the Pro Bowl in 68 and 69. But he passed away at the age of 82. One of the best nicknames in sports. Tom Garbage Can Matte.
Nice.
But 4,600 rushing yards, 2,800 receiving yards, and just under 250 receptions, 1,300 kickoff returns, and 57 touchdowns. So, and in the late 65 season, he filled in as emergency quarterback with Johnny Unitas and Gary Cuozzo. Both went down with season-ending injuries. So when I can't think of the guy who was the wide receiver who played quarterback last year for the Broncos for that one game because of COVID.
Oh, crap. Yeah, I don't remember his name either. But
I can't think of his name, but he wrote the kid a real nice letter about how he's carrying on a proud tradition after the game.
I
So-
had a rare neighbor because where I live, there's nobody who lives left to my left, to my right, or across from me. They're all rental properties. And with COVID, there wasn't nobody renting. And there was this one couple, they were escaping sort of everything, and they're from Denver.
Mm,
And yeah, he was not a happy camper.
understood.
Yeah.
So anyway, Tom Addy passed at 82. From the world of music, we lost a couple of folks from the world of jazz. One was really a sideman. Paul Martino passed away at the age of 77. Born Patrick Carmen Azara. He recorded Lloyd Price, Willis Jackson, like all sorts of those guys, lots of guys in jazz like a whole bunch of jazz guys who we don't really talk about. Richard Groove Holmes, Jack McDuff, Don Patterson, folks like that. He stopped performing a while ago, or back in 1980 for a while, because he had a hemorrhaged arteriovenous malformation, which caused a near-fatal seizure, and he couldn't play. He couldn't perform anymore, but he was playing. He was actually very well known as a teacher of guitar going forward. But Pat Martino passed away at the age of 77. We also lost jazz guitarist and inventor Emmett Chapman, the inventor of the Chapman stick. You know what a Chapman stick is?
No, I know
It's
what
like
a
that
chapstick
weird.
is.
Yes, it's not chapstick.
Okay.
But Chapman stick is like, imagine a guitar neck without no guitar. And it has 12 strings. And it has like lines you can use, or you can use I want to make sure I'm saying this. Like, so it has 10 or 12 strings. You could play bass, melody, chords, and textures all at the same time. It honestly kind of just looks like, if you put the Washington Monument as a musical instrument. Does that make sense? Kind of that shape with strings on it. But a musical inventor, he passed away at the age of 85. We also lost from the Gap band, Ronnie Wilson. Passed away. It's the second member of the Gap band, I think, who's passed away fairly recently. But he was 77 and the bassist for the band.
Mm-hmm.
The Gap band's one of those ones that we had on our. I think we elected them on the Rock Hall Revisited.
Yeah, well, I think so too. It's been an interesting group that got elected and didn't, to me, but that's just.
Yeah, we got the Pogues in last time, which was interesting. They came from nowhere to get in, but then there are other bands. You're like, why is it taking these guys forever and these other ones getting it? It's just interesting part of the process. So, and hopefully we'll go be able to talk to some of the people involved in that coming up here. So that'd be pretty cool. But anyway, he passed away. Ronnie Wilson passed away at the age of 77. And finally, the one I think you want me to talk about.
Yep.
So the second of the voices of Boston sports we've lost in last year. We lost Tommy Heinsohn right in the summer. We just lost Jerry Remy. Passed away at the age of 68. He's been sick on and off for half a decade or more at this point. Remy, or who as we all call him, the Rem Dog, played 3 seasons with the Angels and then 7 with the Red Sox, and spent 33 years as a color commentator at the Red Sox up until his death. He's from Fall River, Massachusetts, which is a town down by Rhode Island, right on the part of Massachusetts is probably in the least good shape economically. It's the part down by Rhode Island, New Bedford, Fall River, Dartmouth, places like that, the fishing areas that just have never really fully recovered from stuff. But he's down from there. He was elected president of Red Sox Nation back in 2007. Just one of the voices of Boston sports. One of the people who truly cared, wasn't afraid to call the team out when they sucked, but also wasn't just always a negative person. If they did well, he let you know. If they were sucking, he let you know. Truly an ambassador for the Red Sox, and tied in with pretty much all my positive memories from the Red Sox for most of my life. So
what I wanted to ask you too, because like when I've like especially over the last few years, because I got the baseball package, so I've been listening to a lot of other announcers that I wasn't accustomed to growing up with, or even in my 30s for that matter. Remy just seemed to be like one of those guys. I can imagine that a lot of people just absolutely love him, or maybe they despise him. But I would think because he's just very someone who I don't know that how do I put this? For the Jays, one of our guys is Buck Martinez.
right.
Buck Martinez could fit in doing the color for anybody or the play-by-play for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Remington couldn't, and I don't mean that as a slight.
Jerry Remy was the voice of blue collar Massachusetts. He just sounds like blue collar.
That's kind of where I was trying to go with that, and I think maybe when I say dislike, it might be just where some people might be off put if they were a little bit elitist. And I wondered if that's how that would come across. I don't know. Just for me listening to him, I thought it was kind of cool because it's certainly a distinct flavor. I knew I'm listening to a Red Sox broadcast.
Right. So, I mean, while he's been out, we've had other people come in and do the commentary. We've had Dennis Eckersley, Steve Psycho Lyons, a few other folks have come in there. I'm trying to remember them off all the top of my head. And it's still good. I think X pretty good. But it's different with Remdog. It's just kind of he's the president, he's the dean, he's the person who cares the most. Mm-hmm. He's the person the fans are behind. And he's one of us. I mean, he's from Fall River, right? There aren't that many athletes from Fall River, other than the entire 1950 U.S. men's national soccer team. That one that beat England, they're all from Fall River. All Portuguese dudes from Fall River. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, but I mean, I've listened to other broadcasts too, and maybe they're homers all over the place. I mean, I think John Sterling for the Yankees is almost impossible to listen to. When I moved out here, Hawk Harrelson was like a caricature. Like, I have no idea. I know he got in the Hall of Fame and he's beloved by White Sox fans. He was just not good. Well, like I was coming in 2016 at the very end of his career, but he was just not good to listen to. Listening to I was listening to some Astros games. Their guys are terrible. Like, so I'm thinking but people from the Astros probably love the Astros guys because they're used to them, right? Mm-hmm. So that I mean, there's probably some of that involved with it as well. I mean, he's certainly not as polarizing as Heinsohn was. I mean, Tommy Heinsohn was the most pro Boston commentator in the history of Boston. Like he was worse than Johnny Most, and Johnny Most was pretty darn bad at it. So
Harry Carey, like I think he even had like a music video. I'm a Cubs fan. Mm-hmm. Something. Yeah. That one I didn't understand as a kid was the appeal of Harry Carey, but.
I mean, everyone's different, but I mean, if you ever listen to some of the people you listen to, like Vince Scully is ridiculous. He's amazing.
Vince's a god.
Jack Buck was awesome. Mm-hmm. Like Joe's dad was an absolutely amazing broadcaster. So I mean, they're Marty Brennaman, not Tom, but Marty Brennaman was absolutely. Tom's a whole separate issue, right?
I think you could, when you do the Death March, one of the things you should add at the end is careers, because they just keep dropping every week.
Yeah, well, we got one of those unfortunately coming up here. So, but yeah, no, Remdog is going to be missed. It was sad because it seemed like he threw out the first pitch just a few weeks ago, and he seemed like he was doing pretty well comparatively, and then apparently just all went straight downhill. So, but yeah, Remdog will be missed very badly in Boston. So,
well, let's dedicate the show to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, we're ripping right through this. Next week we won't be, but
yeah, next week we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So it's elevator up, elevator down, and the World Series. It's the easiest one. Sometimes it's a stretch for me to come up with people. Here's a few elevator ups, and just for those who are new listening, I try to come up with people who I think, based on their past week, have made more of a case for the Hall of Fame, and
or less of a case,
or less of a case as an elevator down. Freddie Freeman has sort of become the face of the Braves. Whether he's a Brave next year, I don't know. But while we were recording everything last night, afterwards, even though Freeman wasn't named the World Series MVP, everything just seemed to go around him in terms of the media. And as I read today, Freeman, who was an MVP last year, probably will get a few votes. I don't think he's going to win it this year, nor should he. But he's been very, very good. He's still good. Now he's a champion.
Yeah. Sorry, but just one quick aside here. I talk about Jack Buck. Joe Buck during the 7th inning when they're up 7-0, saying this may be Freddie Freeman's last at bat as a Brave.
Oh, did he? Because I just
had
it.
So just like, we get it, but hold off on that, right? Mm-hmm. They're about to win the World Series. Don't make them sad. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just let it go. Let them have their first World Series in 29 years without worrying that their best player over the last decade or so, or last, how long has he been there? 8 years, 9 years, is going to leave. Like, just let it go. Sorry, that's just a side.
And also too, with all the shit the Braves went through this year, and I'm going to try and stay out of the whole political landmines as much as I can, but their best player, because as good as Freeman is, Acuna was their best player before he got hurt. He would have been MVP this year had he not gone down.
They were the latest to go over 500 of any champion in MLB history. They were under 500, 107 games in.
Okay.
That's the latest anyone has ever gone over 500 for the season and then won the championship.
Yeah, because they were, that, I know we talked about the NL East, like it was the Mets leading, and then the Phillies overtook them, and then the Braves overtook them late to sort of win that. But yeah, Freeman seems to me like the one who will benefit the most. I know that Soler won the MVP. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he was negative wins over replacement this year.
I read that. It's and then that stuff does matter. I mean, there was.
Dexter Jackson won the NFL Super Bowl MVP. That didn't help him either.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, this is Soler's a one-tool player at this stage in his career, and he's not even 30. But Freeman isn't that guy. They made him to be the star, and that only helps. That only helps.
Yep.
There's someone on the losing side. I don't think we've really spent a lot of time talking about him, but I really want to today. Dusty Baker. And this year he went from 14th or 15th to 12th all-time in Major League wins. Now, if the Astros would have won, Baker would have been a Hall of Fame lock to me. And I still think at this stage, I mean, when I look at what he's done, he's now he's the first person to take 5 teams to the playoffs. Dusty got a lot of flack for how he managed the Cubs. Maybe he was a little late in sort of arm fatigue, whatnot, but that certainly wasn't the case this year, and he has adapted to the game. He was the best choice to bring in a calm presence to a team that everyone wanted to hate. Everybody. So, and you can't hate on Dusty. It's first of all, if your name is Dusty, I don't know how I can hate you. It's like Dusty, Mookie. I mean, like already, I love you guys. How do I not? It's just the best names ever. But he's now at that point. I don't know how much more he's got left, but Baker was the perfect choice for that team at that time. And the Astros did respond under him. The Astros, I know they were an under 500 team in the COVID year, but because of the weird circumstance, they made the playoffs. Went to, if I remember correctly, the NLCS. So that's 2 NLCSs in a row.
ALCS.
Sorry. I keep thinking of them as a National League team sometimes because
they were. They've made the. Are they? I don't know if they are. I think they're the only team that's made the World Series in both leagues.
They would have to be, I would think. I mean, the only other
because the Brewers haven't made it, and then they made it in the American League once. They haven't made it in the National League yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sorry, Ryan Braun. But yeah, so Baker.
Oh, a Poe. My favorite guy.
Oh yeah. So Baker's somebody who I think should get some love for what he is accomplished for a team that isn't as loaded as they used to be.
Correct. Well, here's the thing. He's 72.
Right.
Does he, if let's just say he coaches one more year with this team, because why not, right? You got your team to the World Series. Why not coach one more year, right?
Yeah.
If he can win, let me do this math here, 64 games, which seems like a normal season is not going to be hard. They'd have to go 64-98. He will move into the top 9 all-time in managerial wins.
And there's no reason why they wouldn't bring him back unless he decides to leave on his own accord at this stage.
So he's 1987 at 1734 and has one tie somehow on his record as a manager. I don't know how that works. But he is
that was he the coach of that All-Star game thing?
I don't know. They have a lot of people have ties here. But yeah, he's got a 534 winning percentage. If he wins, he will pass. Right now he's 12th. He just passed Casey Stengel and Gene Mauch this year. He will pass Bruce Bochy, who's got a below 500 winning percentage in his career, but 2003 wins. Leo DeRocher, Walter Alston. Yeah. That's pretty much up there. Everyone ahead of him except for Bochy's a Hall of Fame. It's Connie Mack, Tony La Russa, John McGraw, Bobby Cox, Joe Torre, Sparky Anderson, Bucky Harris, Joe McCarthy, Walter Alston, Leo DeRocher, Bochy, and Baker. And then Casey Stengel and some other guys below him who have a chance.
Yeah. So I would love to see Dusty make that. But again, I'm a little biased because I just like the guy.
Yep.
Yeah. My elevator down, it ties in with what you went last week. This happened after we went on air. So the head coach of the Florida Panthers is no more. He was the head coach of Quenneville. Yeah. I know I've got a hockey card of his somewhere. I think when he was a Colorado Rocky. But I didn't realize this until today, that he's actually number 2 all time in coaching wins behind Scotty Bowman. I had no idea that it was that high. The Panthers are super good. He would have gotten to 1,000 wins this year. So he would have been the second person to ever do that. He's going to remain number 2 all time for quite a while, but Quenneville is out for his role in not coming forward in the 2010 scandal that we talked about last week, or that a lot of people are talking about. I don't want to defend him. I don't know that any other hockey coach in 2010 would have done anything differently. They would in 2020. And this is not a defense. This is just more of a statement of fact that it was a different time. And I know it's only 10 years ago, but it was a different time.
Yeah.
But he's unhireable now.
Yeah.
At this point.
I mean, just the whole, let's not rock the boat. I don't want to disrupt team chemistry by not firing the guy who does the
video coaching. Yeah.
Video coaching.
Well, like, I don't think it was that so much as they just don't want that getting out, and they don't want the media to know about anything.
But yeah, but here's literally the thing. All right. So let's just take it from that perspective. It's 2010. The Blackhawks haven't won a championship in a while. This is their first one, right? And they come through and they fire the video coach for misconduct.
Mm-hmm.
If that ripples through the sports world in 2010?
It does if they find out why.
So,
because you know, this again, look at, we talked about this from Michael Sam to Carl Nassib, the reaction of an openly gay player. Now we've got somebody who is using his power, because as much as I argued a little while ago that I think it's kind of interesting that there might be less racism in hockey than there is in some of the other sports, I can argue at the same time there's probably more prevalent homophobia.
Maybe.
And again, I don't know. I'm not speaking from a fact, like with any kind of knowledge, but I'm just thinking about, we've had the amount of hockey players we've had, and we haven't even had any. There is somebody in the Predators minor, I think in the Predators system, who is open now. But I don't even know if there's been an ex-NHL player that's even said, yeah, I was gay. Well, there had to be.
Yeah, but I mean, this is happening slowly. We just had our first ever major international soccer player come out last week, and he was from the Australian League. Like, so he's the first player in a top flight league of a major country to come out as gay. So, I mean, that's soccer across the world.
Fair enough.
So I don't think it's just that. I mean, Carl Nassar was the first one there. We had an openly gay basketball. We had John Amici came out after.
Yeah, but for your team were the Nets. Collins, he came out and then he got picked up.
That's true. That is true. No, yeah, Brian Collins. That's right. Yeah, and then baseball. Have we had one that we know of?
That was active?
Because baseball is actually the most conservative sport.
True.
So I don't know. But anyway, going back to this though, I just went and looked up what Teo Fleury's whole thing broke. And that was 2012. So see, even if we're excusing the not wanting to do it during the playoffs, which I have a big issue with anyway, but let's just presume we're going to do that. You've had 10 years in the meantime to do something about this. And when I can think of his name, the player involved, Kyle Beach. When Kyle Beach went to them in 2020 and said, "Hey, I'm going to sue you guys over this," they're like, "Yeah, go away. There's nothing here." Like, and the people involved were still there. The other person has to cover themselves in glory is Jonathan Toews.
Yeah, but he'll escape this.
I'm fine. Jonathan Toews showed that he will not stand up for his teammates.
No, I agree with you, but I'm just saying, like, he's not going to be burdened. He's not going to be tainted with the stink here of this, like Quenneville is.
Fine, but like, it's clear it's either a bad captain because you know what's going on, or he's a bad captain because he knew what's going on, didn't care. Because if Nick Boynton said everybody knew, and I can't remember the other guy who came out and said everybody knew.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's too bad. Those guys are good guys, whatever. It's the general's daughter again. What's worse than rape? Once you know that, you'll know everything. Like, you'll excuse anything to win a cup, then whatever. And you've had legitimately 10 years, 11 years at this point.
The whole thing's awful. And
do something about it. So, and yeah, Quenneville's done. Actually, it's interesting. How do you feel about the Jets GM getting off on this? Because his reasoning that he gave actually makes a little bit of sense to me, which I was not expecting. So he was called in, at least on the way he's talking about it, he was called in the meeting briefly. They brought up the situation. The guys above him said that they would take care of it. He left the meeting, and then a few days later, the guy who was involved was fired. And at least this is a story. He presumed that had been dealt with. Like, he didn't know. He was like, "Hey, there's been an issue between the video guy and a couple of the players," and he's like, "Oh, all right, I don't know anything about this."
At his level, he
was the assistant GM at the time.
It's plausible that he's enough levels removed from that, and you've got a lot of other things to worry about than a video coach.
Agreed. Yeah. So it's entirely possible if what he says is true. I understand why he's not really facing any criticism. Like, he was walked into a meeting, said there's an issue with this guy, was told by his superiors that, without many details, that they were going to fire, that they're going to deal with it. The guy was fired a few days later, and he thought it was over. He didn't realize what was going on. I can understand all that. And then he was gone from the organization by the time Kyle Beach came back to them. Right. So I got that. But Quenneville and Bowman and Al, I can think of his name, the other guy, all knew and didn't do a damn thing about it for years.
Yeah, and Quenneville too, because if he was probably a Hall of Famer at this point now already.
Oh yeah, of course he is.
Winning a Stanley Cup this year, which with Florida is very, very possible. They're damn good.
Yeah, it would be amazing if Joe Thornton got his Stanley Cup in with the Florida Panthers.
Well, maybe that's honestly as weird as that sounds. It's probably the biggest reason he won't. Joe Thornton just doesn't win.
Yeah, I know.
It's not his fault. Joe Thornton tries. I'm not ragging on Joe Thornton's ability. It's just there's somehow that may not happen. But yeah, that's my big elevator down. Possibly the biggest elevator down, even though it's not the biggest name that I could argue.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to sort by wins right now. Yeah. So Scotty Bowman's number 1. Quenneville's number 2. 3's Barry Trotz, by the way, with 880 wins. So Ken Hitchcock, who's probably should be in the Hall of Fame, is number 4 with 849. Mm-hmm. So Quenneville has 970. He's still got 274 to go to catch Scotty Bowman. But that's definitely never happening. So.
Never. No, he's going to be unhireable at this point.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's my colossal elevator down. So that brings us to the good, the bad, and the ugly of sports. Your hammer.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go somewhere weird for good, just because I think sometimes I go with the good for stupid things. And this is one of my favorite stupid things that I like to see happen. So the Washington football team doesn't have a name because they're going to be the Red Wolves. They don't have a name because a fan bought up the rights to the Red Wolves and a few others, thinking the Red Tails, the Red Hawks, a few of them, thinking that one would be picked, and they can't negotiate with the dude because they didn't think about to do it ahead of time. Cue the Cleveland Guardians knee Indians.
No, yeah, okay, yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Who were too stupid to do an internet search for Cleveland Guardians.
How's this your good?
I just think it's hilarious.
Okay.
First of all, the Cleveland Guardians situation, the whole thing is hilarious. Their logo is fine, or their name is fine. We get the name, I get the script. Their logo looks like it's out of 1996 clip art. It's awful. And there's a women's roller derby team, which has existed since 2013, who owns the rights to the Cleveland Guardians website. You would think somebody would have tried to clear this with them ahead of time. I just love it when the hubris of these people, like, oh, who's going to care about roller derby team? Well, they have the trademark.
Well, here's what's to me even funnier about this. When did they announce the whole Guardians name change? Just that months ago. We're just now thinking about I guess that sort of tells you about the state of women's roller derby.
No, it tells you about the state of the people running that franchise.
Yeah, well, that too.
Literally get an intern to run an internet search. It is not hard.
Yeah, they could do that. Can't buy you a stamp, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. That's something different. But I mean, they should be able to Google clevelandguardians.com and figure out if anybody owns it. I just think it's hilarious. Anytime there's a stupid story like this, I love them because I think they're hilarious. So
maybe we'll have a Cleveland baseball team.
I hope it's like, you know, how Miami of Florida has to put the University of Miami has to put the FL in parentheses because Miami of Ohio exists. Mm-hmm. I hope that the baseball team has to put Cleveland Guardians in parentheses MLB after their name because they were too dumb to do an internet search and talk to people ahead of time.
Cleveland, that's what I'm going for. Not women roller skating Guardians.
Yeah. I have to say, I've been to the women's roller derby leagues up in Massachusetts. I went to go see I can't remember where they're actually from. They're the Cherry Bombs. One of my friends, Rhiannon Roberts, who's named after the song Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac. Mm-hmm. She was like Clown Faces, all the roller derby girls' names and numbers are trademarked. So nobody else can have your name and number, or it's at least name. I don't know about number combination, but so her name was Fleetwood Smack because she was, and her number was 76, which was the year that the Rhiannon came out. They were the Queen City Cherry Bombs. That's what it was. Okay. And they played the Seabrook Meltdowns because that's where the nuclear power plant is in New Hampshire, Seabrook. And it was freaking fun. It was a lot of fun to watch that game. It was up in Manchester, New Hampshire.
I just learned that roller derby was rigged in the 70s. I had no idea.
Well, Jim Croce did fall in love with that one girl who's built like a refrigerator with a head.
Wow. It was the 70s. He wasn't partial.
True.
I think
Jim Croce died at 29 while looking like he was 55. So
that is true. That's very
yeah.
true.
So
All right, so that's an interesting good. What's bad?
bad. So I'm going to go into the situation first, which is the situation itself. There's nothing to talk about. It's off the table. The Henry Ruggs situation with the Oakland Raiders, another guy whose career is over.
Yeah.
He was going 154 miles an hour through residential streets.
I just read that today. Like,
he slowed down to a mere 127 when he collided with another car while trashed. The woman who he collided with died. She was 23 years old. She was stuck in her car and burned to death because she was pinned in that car. Her dog died in the back of the car. Henry Ruggs' career is over. The minimum sentence for this is 2 to 20 years. So he's not getting off with time served or anything like that. Just the speeding itself is a felony.
And for what?
He's going 154 in a 40. And he blew twice the blood alcohol limit. Right?
Yeah, when I read it, so because I think in kilometers. Right.
Yeah.
It's so like what my first thought, like 154. Oh shit, I think I've done that once.
Yeah, what is it in kilometers?
Well, I don't even know. Well, it would be like
228.
1.6.
That's 1.6 on.
Yeah.
We're good at math here in that we have calculators. 154 times 1.6 is 246 kilometers.
Yeah,
246.4 Canadian.
Yeah. My Honda Civics have never been able to do that.
No. So that's bad. And the whole thing, I don't want to go into it other than everyone knows that's bad. Yeah. My bad part of this is the reaction of some of the other players in the league. In particular, Kadarius Toney.
What did he say?
So Kadarius Toney came out. Hold on, I lost a tweet here.
I didn't really read about any of the reactions from other players, so yeah, I'm guessing they missed the plot here.
He was just like, "Hey, he made a mistake, man. Let's not, you can't just punish him for, like, guys."
Yeah,
mistakes aren't where somebody dies.
I can forget. Yeah, we're not talking about a drunken tweet. We're talking about a drunken death. Completely unavoidable.
Yeah. So Kadarius Toney, his tweet 5 hours ago. We young, everybody make mistakes. Y'all look at the situation like this or that because it ain't y'all having so much to say. He knows he messed up, so don't drag him for it. That's goofy to me. Just pray for the families involved.
Well, yeah, if he just did the last sentence.
Yeah. And then he does allow anybody to reply to him unless he follows them. Right.
God. I hate that.
So, like, there has to be accountability for this crap. Like, he didn't just make a mistake. And again, I'm going to bring this up with Ruggs. Ruggs' best friend died in a car crash. Again, he wasn't a drunk driver. He was driving, but usually Ruggs drove him back and forth to games, and Ruggs was sick. So that guy drove the car. It was a wet night, and he lost control on the way home, crashed with 4 other people in the car who were hospitalized, and he died. And Ruggs blamed himself for not being there to drive, and does all his celebrations in a way where he was honoring his best friend who died in a car crash. What are we doing?
I can see to it, and again, not really. I get somebody who's a friend or a peer just trying to stick up for somebody. Maybe you just say nothing in a case like that. Yeah. Like there's no type of support. But obviously he knew that he wasn't going to get a very positive reaction by limiting who could respond, or maybe he did that after, which is usually the case.
Right. Well, he was getting ripped by Damien Woody and some of the older retired players who are just like, guys, there has to be responsibility for stuff.
Mhm.
And again, and this is a different time. I brought it up last night, but remember Leonard Little killed a woman while drunk driving with his car and was back in the league. Henry Ruggs is done. He's not coming back.
No, no, definitely not. Well, if you, like you said, it was 2 to 20 years.
2 to 20.
Okay. I mean, there's no plea bargaining out of this.
Yeah, I mean,
Like none. So he's serving the 2 at least. And with all due respect to Ruggs, it's not like he was this player that, well, it's not like he's Michael Vick. We're gonna like when he's out of jail. Okay, we know that the talent's there. Someone was gonna give him a chance.
mm-hmm.
Ruggs isn't that caliber of player.
Yeah, and to be honest with Vic, a lot of people in the league still don't think he did anything wrong.
I'm sort of I'm okay. Well, all right.
I mean, you and I may disagree, but a lot of people who grew up in the same way that Michael Vick grew up, who believe that dogfighting is just a part of life.
That's what I was gonna say actually, but I mean that's not. I'm a dog owner and I love my dog dearly, but I think I also now live in a country where dogs aren't loved that much. In comparison to like what I grew up with and what I have. Most dogs here, not all, but most of them are outdoor dogs that are just there to watch property. So it's a different mindset. Vic definitely paid his penance, and then after he got out, then it was bothering me that there was still all the hatred. Like, what more did you want? He certainly did the time. He did what he was supposed to do.
As far as we know, he hasn't been involved with anything like that again.
Yeah, and I'm not saying never forget, but I am saying forgive, and I'm not saying like move on and just la la la. Like I don't want to say that at all either. But
it's as I say, it is interesting who we give forgiveness to and who we don't as a society. Like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Nobody really holds anything against Mike Tyson.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day. When it comes to like victimhood, or not victimhood, rather, canceling or who you accept. This to me, it's almost like college football. If you're gonna
you've already anticipated where.
No, I haven't. But I'm just saying, if you're gonna lose, you better lose early, and then maybe you can work your way back into the big Rose Bowl or Orange Bowl. If you finish your year 9-1 or 10-1, but that one happened at the end instead of at the first, you're going to be okay. Maybe you're going to that college football playoff championship. Mike Tyson had his L as a one, like in week 3. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. But yeah, Ruggs is done. But again, the reaction from other players, Tony was just the main one among them. Like, he's good doing his time, guys. This isn't a mistake. We've skedaddled right past mistake and past faux pas into full blown, as they say in Spanish, fracaso. Like, there's no way out of this. That's good. The only thing good, by the way, Ruggs was sitting on the car not helping while she burned to death. Other people stopped by and tried to help and couldn't get her out, and Ruggs just sat there. He's trashed.
Well, I was gonna.
Yeah, again though, like the image of other people stopping and trying to help, and he's just sitting there in the car. Like, at least he didn't run. That's all I'll say. It's the only thing he did correctly is not leave the scene. So, but yeah, just it sucks.
See, I when I'm trash, I just do podcasts.
Self-awareness, my friend. It's growing on you.
Right. It was always there.
It was always there. That's true. Let's go for the ugly.
So college football. No, I don't know where you're going with this.
It's actually not college football. It's NCAA.
Oh, okay, easy target.
Yeah, the NCAA is easy target, but the NCAA completely and utterly shot itself in the foot.
What they do?
Oklahoma State.
Okay.
So Oklahoma State basically got a massive penalty for basketball today. because one of their former coaches 5 years ago accepted bribes to try and force their players to certain financial advisors, and gave $300 to a player who got suspended, which he then returned. $300. The team discovered, well, the FBI discovered part of it, but the team discovered the $300 payment and everything. There's no lack of institutional control. There's no recruiting violations, right? The guys were already there with the school, and the guy was taking money to try and funnel them for people for advice. They found out about it and fired him right away. There was no bullshitting on this. And they worked with the NCAA about it. And the NCAA came down ridiculously on them. Like, it's what they're punishing players for stuff that happened when they were in middle school right now. Like, everyone involved got fired. The school cooperated 100% with the NCAA, and the NCAA completely and utterly annihilated them over this. Whereas someone like, well, I don't know, North Carolina, who had fake classes for their basketball players, still has suffered nothing because they did not cooperate with the NCAA. And because they did not cooperate with the NCAA wasn't able to do anything really to them, even though it's somehow known, but everything was covered up, and so they never figured it out. So North Carolina gets off scot-free. Kansas has things, they get off scot-free. Oklahoma State, who I have no dog in the Oklahoma State fight. I don't care about.
I don't care about that. Yeah.
Like but what the NCAA is doing in doing this is saying, if you cooperate with us, we will screw you.
Seems like a lot of other types of enforcement agencies that I can think of.
It's super duper dumb. Oklahoma State, basically, they came out today and said, do not cooperate with the NCAA. Don't do what we did, because it's not going to get you anything but pain. Like, they outright came and said it. And what's the NCAA going to do? Disagree? Like, it's absolutely insane. The way the NCAA came down on the UMass women's swimming team. I did some research into like the worst penalties they ever did. They basically gave the death penalty to the UMass women's program for an improper benefit of $232, which were phone jacks, which were installed in one of their houses they didn't know about, because they're phone jacks and kids use freaking cell phones. So I found out about these phone jacks that they didn't pay for, that the landlord installed, and they gave the death penalty basically to the women's swimming team at UMass.
When did this happen?
2016. But nobody cares. And I only found it out because I was going through the worst and stupidest penalties on NCAA today, because I didn't have anything else. I had a lot to do today.
I was going to say, like, I can read that sentence.
I had a lot to do today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I was on the phone all day.
Yeah.
But
if I would have said that, that would have been totally believable.
Yeah, I did not. For you guys, I am a sales manager of 150 plus salespeople. So I'm constantly working. But it was actually after the day was over, I was getting other stuff ready. So I did a little bit of research, but like, this is what they do. They come down massive. This whole thing isn't even over the $18,000. It's over the $300 payment. Because the school did nothing wrong with $18,000. One dude was taking money to funnel people that they didn't know about. And as soon as they found out about it, they fired him. And he's, by the way, he's now recruiting at LSU, and it still has no problems.
It was LSU. Is that where was the football coach who got very handsy with a lot of people?
I've lost track. It's possible.
Okay. Isn't that a sad state? Isn't there like at least two big head coaches that have already lost their job?
Like Bobby Knight throwing a chair would be like the least important thing that happened. Like with college sports these days.
If I'm a college,
everything is a complete mess.
Well,
and here's something I'm going to say.
Yeah.
The Big Five conferences, and I don't believe I'm saying this, because it sucks for every other school. The Big Five conferences need to break off just to kill the NCAA. Get rid of the structure, get rid of those people. You have to kill the NCAA as an organization. I think as much as I think that sucks, it's the only way to do it because you want lack of institutional control. The NCAA has lack of institutional control. They need to go, how Emmert has a job is just Emmert and Goodell and Manfred. They're just signs of the decay of morality for people in charge of things. All that matters is that the shield is protected and money is being made. Everything else be damned. There's no moral integrity for the people involved. Now, Adam Silver's had some opportunities where he had some moral integrity, some other ones that have gone back the other way, right? But he built his whole thing with Donald Sterling.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean,
he lost it with China a little bit.
Oh, a lot, I think.
But my point is, of all the people, he has more moral standing, at least, because we've seen him do something.
Yep.
Right? None of the other ones have any moral standing of any of the organizations. The USOC has no moral standing. FIFA, UEFA, like you think of any of these sporting organizations, and they all rot from the top.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that too, and we've talked about this before. And if you're a high school prospect, like if you're a real good high school ball player, why the hell would you go play college when now there's a good developmental league, and you're probably going to be playing against better players and you'll do it and enhance your skill at a better level.
Go to the EuroLeague
or that.
Seriously, just go to the EuroLeague, spend a year in Italy. You're 18, 19 years old, a year in Italy or Spain or Greece or whatever you want to go over there is A, going to be a hell of an experience, and B, you're going to get paid for that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Just go play against adults, and then when you're ready, come back and play against adults.
Yeah, at this point, there's absolutely no reason for any good high school player to go to college if they have designs on the NBA. There really isn't.
The only reason is the NCAA tournament. That's literally the only thing.
Which will survive without it, just for gambling purposes.
Yeah, but again, they survive without the 5, 8, 10 best players who should be there because they're not going to do it.
That's happened for a while too. Before they went to that one and done thing, like how many great NBA players never played high school?
You never played college, you mean?
Or high school? Sorry, yeah, college. So
Garnett,
LeBron, Garnett,
Kobe,
or even some good ones, for that matter. That might have been great.
Sebastian Telfair.
He would have helped. He might have been. He would have been helpful. He would have been a draw at some point. Yeah. Wherever he would have went. Like at this point, why the hell bother? There's nothing in it for you. You're not there for your degree anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm looking at the list of high school NBA draftees.
And I'm sure I'm missing a lot of really good ones.
The first one was Daryl Dawkins, by the way, in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and followed by Bill Willoughby. And then nobody till Garnett. So Garnett, Kobe, Jermaine O'Neal, Tracy McGrady, Al Harrington, Rashard Lewis, Corleone Young, Jonathan Bender, and Leon Smith, not quite as good. Darius Miles, Deshaun Stevenson, Kwame Brown, Tyson Chandler, Eddie Curry, Disagana Diop, Osman Cisse, Amari Stoudemire, LeBron, Travis Outlaw, keep going, Kendrick Perkins, Andrew Bynum. So last one was in 2005. Last ones were Martell Webster, Andrew Bynum, Gerald Green, CJ Miles, Ricky Sanchez, Monte Ellis, Lewis Williams, Andre Blatch, and Amir Johnson.
Yeah, and the only reason that they instituted the whole one and done is just to get their whole free minor league system.
Of course, 100%.
Well, that's it.
100% for the minor league system.
I'm amazed that it took them this long to figure out that they could do it themselves. And then, and who came up with that was what's his name? That crazy ball father. Lonzo's dad.
Lamar Ball.
Thank you. Because that was his vision.
Yeah.
He might not have been the first to come up with it, but that was the first I ever heard of it.
Yeah, but I mean, people talk about how they freak out about people getting into the league too young for NBA and NFL. Well, part of the reason people freak out about the NBA and NFL is because those guys don't get paid.
Mhm.
Like if you're a really good baseball player, hockey player, there's a whole real minor league system for you to develop and grow and get paid over time. Now, are people getting paid enough? Major League Baseball? No, they do not pay their minor league baseball players enough, right?
No, that's the actual thing. Of course, that they wanted to keep that going as long as they could. The NFL will always sort of have that, where they're always going to have that set rule. Nobody lost out more than Maurice Claret. Like just that one name. And for those who don't remember, just Google him. He tried to sue his way into draft eligibility after he was already, I think, if I remember correctly, did he win the Heisman or was he up for it? Like he was the best running back in college. And I think he was only in his second year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, what the hell am I? I'm risking my body at this point, which he was.
Mm-hmm.
And it all fell to shit for him. And there was a lot of bad choices that were still made, but it's a corrupt system. And again, I'm going to keep watching college football on Saturday. I know I am. That's my shame. It's not porn. It's the NCAA. For yours, it might be FIFA and porn. I don't know. I don't know you that well.
I'm not speaking about my internet habits, but yeah, I mean the FIFA and the UEFA and all the soccer leagues are all. I mean, I love talking about CONCACAF. Like at least UEFA is corrupt and competent. FIFA is corrupt and mostly competent. CONCACAF is corrupt and a complete shit show. So, I mean, at least they got that going for it. Just by the way, that's another organization needs to go. They need to, the U.S. and Mexico and Canada, whatever, all the North American guys just need to join the South American, just have an America's World Cup qualifying. It'd be better for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
Although it'd be kind of hilarious, US going to Colombia and Venezuela. That'd be a little bit interesting.
Oh, I'm sure the American players would love that.
Yeah. Well, I know. I mean, Mexico is one thing, but so.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that would improve North American soccer altogether. And if more South American teams qualify for World Cup, what do they care? Like you just open it up to. Right now, they get 4.5 to South America and 3.5 to North America. Mm-hmm. So combine those, you get 8. So you still have 8. Well, although we're expanding for the next World Cup, but you'd still have 8. And just if more South American teams make it, then more South American teams make it. The U.S. and Canada and Mexico and everybody else just have to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Australia voluntarily plays in Asia. They don't have to.
Yeah, yeah. And with when this COVID stuff, they're playing all their home games in Dubai.
I mean, I guess in theory, Turkey, they could play in either Asia or Europe. They choose Europe.
They choose Europe for economic reasons. So does Israel. Israel does.
I think Israel, though, I think that's a totally different ballgame. You don't want to see an Israel going up against Jordan, Syria, Iraq. I think that's far more.
Yeah, right. But or Kazakhstan also plays in Europe.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Kazakhstan does. Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, all those guys don't. Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan also play Europe. Mm-hmm. So.
And Georgia's ranked number 1 right now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Here all week, but we're not. But I guess at this point we should close the Hall of Fame show. Blatant self-promotion time. Chris Burnett and I, we're probably going to tackle for our next episode of This Crap Was on National Television. We did Cop Rock. I sent you a message because it turned out Randy Newman was doing the theme.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I became very sad and couldn't respond to your message. I felt that bad.
I had no idea. I said on that show, I said, if I'd have known, I wouldn't have.
If I had one person I could pull out of any Hall of Fame, it wouldn't be Randy Newman. But if I had one person I could pull out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or one act, it would be Randy Newman. Mm-hmm. Out of any Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure it'd be Tom Yaki. Could be Kennesaw Mountain. Actually, I think it's Kennesaw Mountain Landis.
I think I'm more passionate about Randy Newman just because, well, there's a lot more of him here and he's still around.
That is true. Yeah. So what does Kennesaw Mountain Landis' ghost care about being pulled out of the Hall of Fame?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Randy.
Fire.
But anyway, yeah. So
Still one of the greatest impressions of all time is Will Sasso as Randy Newman on the old Mad TV. If you
yes,
haven't seen it, just do yourself a favor.
I did
and
because
watch.
you mentioned it.
Yeah, go watch Will Sasso play Randy Newman on old Mad TV. You can find it on Yahoo or on YouTube. And yeah, it's Will Sasso is fantastic in that role. So
For Chris and I think we're going to look at. We haven't decided which one, but either the unused Love Boat pilot or Love Boat season 9, where they tried a bunch of new things. So we're going to look at a hit show, but it was, yeah, the Love Boat pilot that I found that they didn't use had Dick Van Patten as the ship's doctor.
Okay.
Completely different cast. Watching Dick Van Patten try to play the suave character. Yeah.
It was the 70s, man. Or that was probably the early 80s at that point. It was season 9.
Well, no, this is like if we go with the pilot, that would have been 76.
Oh, the pilot. I thought you said it was season 9. I apologize.
Yeah, no, I did. We're either going to do that or season 9. I'm waiting for him to let me know which one he wants, because in season 9, the final season, they just added a bunch of other. They're just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall because the formula just wasn't working anymore. So I thought that might be interesting to look at a show completely in decline and their last gasp of trying to stay relevant, but either one of those things. Andrea Testman and I, we just did crap, I just did it. I don't remember. Dexy's Midnight Runners. So we did Come On Eileen. And Andrea is definitely the dirty one of the pair because she sent me pictures of Eileen with cum on her.
I mean, if there's nothing sexier than a whole bunch of people dancing around in overalls with one of the straps undone. So
I was trying to do an impression of that. So here we go.
Oh boy. There you go.
I need one of your hats. It might work too.
Oh, yeah. I'd have to say, if we weren't getting a sponsor before, we definitely are now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, because everyone wanted to see these guns, huh?
Yeah. So maybe we can get one for I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna come up with a joke. I can come up with one.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot more stuff coming. Looks like the classic sports review show might be on hiatus. Internet in Antarctica kind of sucks. So, but we'll try and figure something out. And maybe I'll come up with a replacement. And buy my book, because hey, I wrote a book. If you're into pro wrestling and classic pro wrestling, Chavo Guerrero Sr. Before he passed away, I helped him with his life story. It's really good. It's got full 5-star reviews on Amazon. And no, I didn't write them.
I did. No kidding.
And with that, stay safe, everybody.
All right. Take care.